Welcome to Reread, where I'm rereading through the expanded universe in chronological order. Folks, we are on Last of the Jedi, the EU novelization by Michael Reeves. It's almost as if he said, you know what? People didn't like Powers of the Force. Let me see if I can do better. And he didn't. He did worse. This book has a creature called a Celephon. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Michael Reeves is the only one who brought up this type of species because they're really dumb. They live outside of time in a way, like they talk about the past, present, and future like it's all together, all is one. And it makes the alien's name is Yemen, and if he was in the previous books, I've just forgotten. But I know that the name Safalin, whatever, has been in some of his books before. And they're not interesting. It's not an interesting species. It's really dumb. It starts off where Vader hijacks Jax's ship. Does he kill Jax finally? No, he just leaves him to die on his ship. He takes Yemen. And this is going to be very important. He wants to explore this type of alien species who can tell the past, present, and future or whatnot. And he wants to look into it. So he leaves Jax. He kills Loranth, the Twi'lek, for no reason. And she's dead immediately because Michael Reeves had nothing to do with her. He just didn't have any story for her. He's like, well, let me just kill her off. I mean, it's just a pointless death. And then as Jax and Din and I-5 is blown away. It's just his head left. But he's functional just by his head. And Vader leaves them to die like Vader would or something. And it's just really dumb. They're like, why did Vader leave us here? Why didn't he kill us right out? Good question. Now later on, Michael Reeves goes, oh, well, y'all injured his ship and he wanted to get home and get some repairs done to his ship before he got stranded in space too. This is really dumb. I-5's essence is transferred into a pit droid. This should lead to some very good comedic moments. There is zero comedy in here. At least I couldn't find any. Din makes some lame jokes, and the book references them as lame jokes, and I-5 goes, you really need to work on your jokes. It's not funny. It's not funny. The magic's gone there with Din and I-5. They're just not. Those first two books, they were on a roll, man. And then for some reason, Michael Reeves is like, okay, now I need to make the books more serious. Jax, and I totally forgot about this till I was reading it, talks about Jax's strong control over the Force, you know. And I was thinking, wait a minute, wasn't book one about him losing the Force? And if they resolve that in the trilogy, I don't remember. That's how bad the book is. If I don't remember how they resolved the issue, maybe they didn't, but I'm sure they did. But I just totally forgot. If the second book, I totally forgot that his Force ability was winking in and out, and yet, to my knowledge, it was never mentioned again. Unless, like I said, they resolved it and the book was so boring I missed that part. Now, the Prefect, who I thought was one of the traitors in Powers of the Force, he's actually still the good guy. And it's weird because I could have sworn when Kaj, the Jedi in training, Padawan, was captured, that the Prefect had something to do with that and was working with the Empire to capture Kaj. And like I said, I'm not going to go back and reread Powers of the Force. No way. But I could have sworn that it said the Prefect, and the Prefect was there when he was captured by the Empire, but maybe he's still working for the Rebel Cell? I don't know. It's just really confusing. But now he's the good guy again. Or maybe he always was, and the book's garbage. Everything's garbage in here. But Jax disguised himself as an Inquisitor, walks right past Vader. Ooh, does Vader discover him? No, he doesn't. Got away with it. Yeah, like Vader would just like, oh, you're in Inquisitor robes. I can't see your face, but I'm just going to pass you by, not even check you in the Force. I don't know. That sounds a little far-fetched to me. Jax goes to Black Sun for help because he needs to find Vader's location because he's trying to find Yemen and to rescue him. For some reason, rescuing Yemen is so important. It takes 400 pages for them to even start the mission. But they talk about it a whole lot, and everyone's concerned. Jax, are you really trying to rescue Yemen, or are you trying to get revenge on Darth Vader? And that is the theme throughout the entire thing. Oh, that and the Jedi mantra. You know, there is no peace, there's the Force. There is no this, there is this. That is repeated a billion times in Powers of the Force and a billion times here. Like it's just a newfound thing that Michael Reeves found. He wanted to put it in the book as much as he could. But anyway, when Jax goes to Black Sun to figure out the whereabouts, he wants to know the whereabouts of Vader so he can find where Yemen's held. And he goes to this Black Sun underground crime lord whose boss happens to be the newly crowned Vigo Prince Caesar. And Prince Caesar appears. He and Jax don't square off, but Prince Caesar says, hey, I'll let you know where Vader is, but you owe me a favor for another time. I'd like to be indebted. I like a Jedi Knight indebted to me. And Jack's like, ugh, I hate Black Sun and I hate you, but I must find Yemen. I must find where Vader is. Why? We don't know. His true purpose is supposed to remain a secret till the end of the book, but you don't care. You don't care. I should mention Whiplash is a rebel cell that's on Coruscant. They were in Powers of the Force, and here they're still around. And that Sal guy who wanted to assassinate the Emperor, he's still dead set on assassinating the Emperor. He gets some intel that the Emperor's going to be at a villa, lightly guarded, and so they're going to attack. However, they're tipped off about the attack. The Emperor is, and he's bolstered up his guard. It's a trap. They're waiting for this to happen. And the prefect tells the leader of Whiplash, hey, don't do this because they're waiting for you. There's a trap. He's like, no, it won't be. And of course, he sends all his people to their death. And then he's all bitter that it didn't work out, and he blames the prefect for some reason, even though the prefect warned him. He hates the prefect. And eventually, I think, kills himself. I can't remember what he does, but he dies. You don't care about any of this. And then the prefect and some poet, some Twi'lek female poet who reads poetry at a bar, are the only ones left because the prefect begged her not to go on the mission. So she did, I guess. And they're the only two left of Whiplash. But there's more rebel cells out there, and who cares? That's the big one. Who cares? I should also mention that Jax has had a Sith holocron this whole time. The Sith holocron from Shadowhunter that Lorne had given to I-5 is now in Jax's possession. It does not talk to him or tempt him like it does Ferrus Olin. That was kind of weird. Plus, Ferrus Olin also has a rebel cell group on Coruscant. Couldn't these two meet up? I mean, it's true they could have several factions, but you know, the storylines are very similar between the two. But with Jax, he uses it as Darth Rampage or whatever, and he knows about time, not time travel, but moving or shifting through time. They don't say flow walk. Again, really weird stuff and really boring stuff. He learns to project another image of himself that can fool everyone. And Vader's like, where did you learn this? Doesn't matter. When I have the Sith holocron, I'll have that information too. He also goes to Dothamir to go with the witches, with the Sith holocron to find out, you know, how to manipulate time, even though they don't ever use it in the book, as far as I remember. And I was like, oh God, no time travel, please. And there wasn't any time travel. In fact, they say time travel is impossible, or as they know, impossible. But the Dothamir thing is just, oh, Dothamir witches. You're like, oh, but then there's no story there. Darth Vader, when he confronts Jax again, Jax says, you need to let go of Yemen. He said, I can let him go. I don't need him now that I have you. Which begs the question, at the very beginning of the book, why didn't you take Jax then, if you really needed Jax? Totally defeats the whole purpose of the book. It's stupid. Jax and Vader fight. Even with Jax's Sith found knowledge, he still retreats knowing that he's no good. And he gets rid of the Sith holocron, I believe. I don't know. I don't care. And suddenly, he can feel I-5, who has the Force in him. Now, Iron Knights in the EU also have the Force. So I get that a droid can have the Force. But, like I said, at this point, I-5 is totally... And this is why probably he wasn't in my top... You know, he wouldn't be... He'd probably still be in my top 5 droids, but not my favorite now. Because the last 2 books he was in, he's not funny, trying to become human. Oh, I-5 transfers himself into a... android, so it was syntheflesh, so he's as human as he can get now. Okay, and you're less interesting. And of course, it doesn't conclude. You know, Jax is off to another adventure. What's going to happen next? You know, find out. Michael Reeves was hoping he'd get another chance to write, and I think after 2 strikes, they didn't want to give him a third one to hang himself on. And again, it's sad because I really like his books. But it seems like the more he made them, the worse they got. Like Last Jedi is terrible. If I didn't have this on my top 10, I want to say I did. If I didn't already, then it should be in there because it's horrible. All right, folks. That's it for now. See you next time.